Ukraine. The fundamentals have not changed. Ukraine has been ready for unconditional ceasefire already since February, but Russia has no genuine interest in peace. We all support President Trump's efforts to end the war, but Putin will only negotiate seriously if he thinks he's losing. This week, we aim to adopt a major new sanctions package on Russia. Every euro we deny Russia is one that it can't use on war. Ministers were also clear today that after the 19 package, we should work on the next package. It will not be the last one. We should also all heed to President Trump's call to stop buying Russian oil and gas. Ukraine needs more military support, but also more financial support. Ministers today discussed the European Commission's proposal to mobilize frozen Russian assets for Ukraine's immediate defense needs. There was a broad support today to get this done, and it is crucial that we make progress on addressing the legal and fiscal modalities this week. The reparation loan can send a very powerful message to Moscow that it can't outlast us. As we heard from Minister Sybiha, Russia's terror attacks on the energy grid are intensifying. Russia seeks to inflict as much harm on the civilians as possible. So today we invited the European Commission to propose additional measures to better support Ukrainian energy security. Member States also agreed to reach out to third countries to secure repair equipment and increase gas deliveries to Ukraine. On Shadow Fleet, Moscow's Shadow Fleet funds Russia's war and acts as a launchpad for hybrid attacks. Today, ministers discussed more robust response, including more powers to board Shadow Fleet vessels. I've also designated a special envoy, coordinator, to gather best practices from different member states across the Union, and also to really be acting more swiftly on these points. To further cut Russian war funds, we need more robust EU-wide approach against the Shadow Fleet. Then on accountability, last week in Kiev we announced 10 million euros to launch the special tribunal for the crimes of aggression. Today, 25 member states committed to becoming parties to this tribunal. This brings us one step closer to operationalize the tribunal. Of course, we are waiting for all the cost estimates also from the Netherlands, and then we can move forward. Putin's regime started this war and must face also the consequences. Ministers also adopted conclusions on the Indo-Pacific. This region is a key partner to the European Union. Together, we account for more over 70% of global trade in goods and services. Next month, we will host the Indo-Pacific Ministerial Forum in Brussels, which will bring together some 80 delegations, making it one of the largest diplomatic gatherings in Europe this year. This reflects our commitment to closer cooperation with partners on trade, technology and security. Beijing's latest movements to weaponize global supply chains are a direct threat to global trade and the European Union industrial base. China's actions make it even clearer the case for deeper cooperation with our partners, and this is very clear for everybody. Then on the Middle East, the ceasefire in Gaza has just faced its first major stress test. Hamas attacks on Palestinian civilians and its refusal to disarm make the ceasefire increasingly fragile. The EU is the largest financial backer of the Palestinian Authority and Gaza's biggest humanitarian donor. Our border assistance mission stands ready to deploy. Today, ministers discussed how the European Union can put its full weight behind the peace plan, including by providing additional governance and reconstruction support. Ministers also addressed the European Commission's measures regarding Israel. The ceasefire has changed the context, that is very clear for everybody. However, unless we see real and sustained change on the ground, including more aid reaching Gaza, the threat of sanctions remains on the table. Then Moldova, recent election results show a strong support for the European future, but they also highlight the need for improving how the elections are monitored. Today we shared the lessons learned, and also we agreed to launch an initiative aimed at further modernizing the election observation methods to take into account the people are living their lives online. Social media, online contact must feature even more when assessing whether elections were transparent and inclusive. On Georgia, ministers were very clear on the rule of law and human rights situation, that it continues to deteriorate in Georgia. Personal attacks against European ambassadors are unacceptable and have no place in diplomacy. Commission will present its visa suspension mechanism report later this year. With the new regulation on visas entering into force in November, this will give us the opportunities to cancel visa-free regime for some groups. And later today, we will meet the ministers from the Black Sea region and Central Asia. Russia's military build-up, its shadow fleet, sea mines, GPS jamming affect us all. We need a collective push to improve security in the Black Sea, and we will discuss this together. We will also meet for the first time in the format with the ministers from Central Asia to discuss connectivity. I want this to become a regular occurrence. It will help us stay on top of the work on transport, on energy, digital sectors, again, to build our partnership all across the world. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll start with the questions.
There's no mic.
Okay, maybe you give the mic, no?
We could just pass it around.
Just throw the mic.
It's just that I missed my notebook, so I was trying to signal my team to get my notebook, so thank you.
It won't be very hard.
Yeah, no.
Olivier Beau from AFP. Just after what happened again in the Oval Office in Washington between Donald Trump and President Zelensky, would you say that Ukraine should give up the rest of the Donbass to get a deal with Russia? Is that the only solution? Is there anything we can do to prevent that, if it's the only solution? And on the shadow fleet, could you be a bit more specific on what the EU could do more to counter this circumvention?
Thank you. What we must not forget is that Russia is the aggressor and Ukraine is the victim here. So putting the pressure on Ukraine as the victim is not the right approach. And not only for Ukraine, but also for European security and the global security. Because if aggression pays off, it serves as an invitation to use it elsewhere as well. And that's why we have been really on the course and very clear in our strategy. Putting pressure on Russia will end this war. They can end this war immediately because they are, bombing the civilian infrastructure. 93% of Russian attacks have been on civilians, which is against all the international rules. So if we just give in so that Russia gets what they want, then we will see more of this. We have seen this already in history several times. So our approach is clear. We also discussed this with the ministers today. Our approach is clear: to help Ukraine to defend itself and also pressure Russia to stop this war. We are doing this with the sanctions, to putting the pressure there. Thank you. Oh yes. Oh, sorry. On the shadow fleet. Yes, you had a. So we asked all the the best practices and all what member states are doing on shadow fleet, and put together a paper to coordinate really how we can use all these best practices to address the shadow fleet, which is that of course we are doing the sanctions, but also how we do the outreach to the third countries, the flag states, how we also use the tools that are in the international law regarding boarding the ships and really investigating what they are doing. We are also doing the international coordination when it comes to G7 or the task force we have in place, also the operations that we have already in maritime field, like UNAFOR Med Irini and Aspides and Atalanta, the missions that we can also use in this regard, or look into their mandates. We can't use them now, but look into their mandates, how we can really use them in the future. So basically, we have also appointed a coordinator to really coordinate with the member states in the External Action Service, and this is to be really effective, because the Russians are very creative in this regard, and we have to be as well to address all these issues. So to bring it and be more effective and more also faster in this case.
Thank you, Susana Freixas, SIC Portugal. A follow-up question on my colleague's first question. Very concretely, when you say that you welcome President Trump's efforts, my concrete question is, do you still believe peace in Ukraine is possible without territorial concessions? So very concrete question. And if I may, on the 19th package, what is actually preventing it or avoiding it or preventing it to be done? And if you think it's possible to finalize it before the meeting in Budapest? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we see that the Russian economy is not doing well. Wars end when one party runs out of money, and that's why we are putting the sanctions in place. And actually, if you see the signs, what is there, I think we are overestimating the power of Russia and underestimating the power of ourselves to outlast Russia. We have to be very, very clear here. The other thing is, everybody says territorial integrity is important value that we stand for, and I think we have to keep to that, because if we just give away the territories, then this gives a message to everybody that you can just use force against your neighbors and get what you want. I think this is very dangerous. That's why we have the international law in place, that nobody does that. Of course, we have huge problems right now because the international law is not followed in many areas of the world, but I think we should stick to that. There's also a difference between the actual situation and the legal grounds. I mean, that what you can conquer back is one question, but the other question is also what you recognize as the territory of another country. So I come from a country that was occupied for 50 years, but majority of the countries in the world didn't recognize them to be Russian territories, and that also meant a lot. So I mean, there are a lot of issues which should stick to our values and principles. That's very clear, and to have the pressure on Russia to really stop this war.
Euroscope Georgia, Tamara Nutsubidze. We all see and observe the situation in Georgia worse and worse. Today, Minister from Germany, he mentioned that all measures on the table. You also mentioned Georgia, but if you can be more clear, which kind of measure do you have on the table regarding to visa suspension? So can we expect already in November or in December also about the targeted sanctions and maybe sanctions regarding the hybrid threats or propaganda? And also you mentioned that now we'll be meeting Black Sea and Central Asia, Asian countries. I saw a document and the place of Georgia is empty. Am I correct that, and I understand correctly, that Georgia will not be on this meeting? So representative from Georgia wasn't invited on this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. As you know, we have proposed several measures under different sanctions regime. So far, we have not been able to adopt them because of not all member states being supportive. When it comes to the visa, then Commission will present its visa suspension mechanism later this year. Then also putting forward the regulation on visas and certain groups. As it is not my competence, so I will not comment in detail, but this should be the case. When it comes to the meeting today, then Georgia was not invited in ministerial level. Thank you.
Hello, Luka Hachidze, Formula TV Georgia. So just in 24 hours, 2 of my colleagues were detained in Tbilisi just because they participated in fully peaceful protest in Tbilisi, and also others were detained in last days. So how would you assess this situation in Georgia, this political repressions, and also does the EU still consider Georgia as a candidate country under these conditions when we have these repressions, political prisoners, repressive laws, and also that crackdown on media and civil society? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. These are exactly the worries that member states brought up because the civil society, the room for civil society and journalists is really shrinking, and the measures that the Georgian government is taking against free media, against civil society, against the protesters goes against all the rules that or the principles that we value in European Union. And that's why, of course, the question that you also raise about the candidate, I mean, them being candidates to become European Union member, I mean, with these measures, it's impossible to consider that it will be the case, because this is going totally in another direction with what Europe represents. Thank you.
Thanks, High Representative. It's Rosie Burchard for DW. I'd like to ask you about follow up on what you said about Gaza and the Middle East. So this morning you told us you would give us an update after these talks on what ministers said about sanctions. You put sanctions on the table against members of the Israeli government. There's a measure proposed regarding trade. Will those move forward, or do you think it's time to shelve them given the developments? And can I just follow up briefly? The French foreign minister also said he would like to see EU-BAM Rafah expanded in its mission. Was that discussed? Would you be in favour of that? Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Of course, the context has changed since the measures were put on the table. So we discussed today, and there were very divergent views. So what is something that we landed on is that we don't move with the measures now, but we don't take them off the table either, because the situation is fragile, and also we need to see really the improvement of humanitarian aid reaching Gaza. We need to see also Palestinian revenues to be given to Palestine or released by the Israeli authorities. We need to see journalists and humanitarian aid workers getting in. We need to see also the international NGOs registration to be unrestricted. So these were the worries that member states raised. So for now, we are not taking them off the table, but we are not moving with them either, because the situation is very fragile. Now, when it comes to EU-BAM Rafah, yes, the discussion, what more can we do in order to contribute to the peace plan? Immediately when the peace plan was issued, we immediately put together on the European level what we could contribute to each point of the peace plan. And the two missions that we have, EU-PAM Rafah and EU-Pol COPS, are also part of what we could contribute also to discuss the further or expansion of the mandate. What I want to stress is that EU-BAM Rafah needs the approval from both Egypt and as well as Israeli authorities to function. So we stand ready to redeploy, and we need the approval also from them. Thank you.
Julia, press speak. No? Okay. Okay, take.
Luminița Toma, Teleradio Moldova, Moldova's national broadcaster. I would really want to know if, besides the lesson learned after Moldovan elections, whether today's discussion among the foreign affairs ministers brought Moldova any closer towards like opening the first negotiation clusters, maybe. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Enlargement Commissioner Marta Kos was also making the points of Moldova's development in this regard, and to be ready to move there. Of course, we have the obstacles when it comes to our decision-making processes on the European level, so we are working on them right now. So today we are not adopting any decision, but there was a wide consensus in the room that supported Moldova's accession. Thank you.
Yeah, still not.
I'm here. Sorry.
Now. Okay.
Yes. Julia, Journal to the Republic of Moldova. I'd like to ask if there were any discussion suggesting that Moldova could join the European Union without full voting rights. If you know anything about this, and if you discussed this among member states there.
No, there was no such discussion.
Yes, good afternoon, Philippe Renier, newspaper Le Soir in Brussels. You mentioned the financial support for Ukraine, but there is also the question of the military support. Or it seems that there is a sharp drop in the military support from the EU member states since this summer. And there is also your initiative to offer 2 million ammunition rounds to Ukraine, which is apparently lagging. So is there any solution towards this problem? Thank you.
Thank you. It is true that in addition to the financial support, Ukraine also needs the military support to outlast. We have been doing extensive reach out to the member states who can do more. When it comes to the ammunition initiative, then from 2 million rounds we are still missing like 300,000 really I reached out to member states because under the Czech initiative there is 1 million rounds available now. So either we need from the member states some reallocation of funds or a contribution in means. Of course, we have several instruments also on the table, like SAFE instrument. 13 countries out of 19 who are saying that they are using this instrument also say that they want to use this to support Ukraine. So there are several things that we also wish to do, and this is true that they need the help. Also, what is important is the support and cooperation, I would say, with the Ukrainian defense industry, because right now, the drones that are attacking Ukraine and their drone factories or anti-drone systems, there is something that we can also contribute, but we can also learn a lot and actually win from this, because our member states are also in threat of drone attacks. So I think it could be also a win-win solution there. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for taking my question, Mr. Roller from CDF German TV. I want to ask you about Donald Trump, the President of the United States. How do you see him? He has now the meeting with Putin and himself without Zelensky. Is he a reliable partner for Europe, or how do you deal with this kind of partner? Thank you.
Thank you. I think President Trump is sincere in trying to end this war. That is very clear. We also want to end this war. Ukrainians definitely want to end this war. Who doesn't want to end this war is Russia. We should not be distracted. I think our course here is very, very clear. Our point is that we have to make also Russia to want peace, and that's why we are working, also trying to convince our allies all across the world that nothing can come out of these meetings if Ukraine or Europe is not part of it. Thank you.
Thank you.